I work with something to do with store, something to do with shopping. I was like, okay. At that time, I knew it had something to do with numbers, so it's related to my background, but I had no idea on what it would be. I would say the skills that got me into this was problem solving.
Hi everyone, I'm Sudhanshu and today we are diving into the real side of building a data science career. My guest here is Deepak Chopra, staff data scientist at Meta with over 14 years of experience across Target, Dunnhumby, and now one of the largest tech companies. Hi Deepak, again welcoming you and thanks for joining me. So could you just start with your journey? What was your education and then how everything started?
Thank you so much, Sudhanshu. First of all, thank you so much for having. I'm actually very excited to be here. I have heard a few of your podcasts, and I got really excited when I got your message. So thank. Well, my data science journey, it started in a very traditional way. I studied mathematics is in graduation from University of Delhi, and then operational research, which is nothing but applied mathematics, again from University of Delhi. So in a way, you can say that I filled my life with numbers from the start. So I kind of did that. Right after my post graduation, I got into Target. Uh, I got into their Bangalore offices working as a trainee data analyst, and I started working on consumer hierarchy, decision hierarchy related problems around how a consumer is thinking about when they are making a purchase. Are they thinking price first? Are they thinking brand first? And whatnot. Obviously, my relatives did not understand data analysis at that time, and maybe they still don't. They used to say that I work with something to do with store, something to do with shopping. I was like, okay.
Okay.
Then I worked out of Bangalore for about year and a half, and then I wanted to move closer to home, which is Delhi. So I joined Dunnhumby, which is based out of Gurgaon. Here I started working for a UK-based retailer, or more specifically UK-based CPGs, Coke, Pepsi, Unilever's, utilizing retailers' data and trying to basically make sense of it, trying to where I would say I kind of started learning a lot of analytic solutions, and I got a lot of them under my belt. So I did a lot of store segmentation, customer segmentation related work. I did a lot of customer loyalty related work. I dived into price and promotions. Around that time, clickstream data had started kicked in, and I was lucky to get my hands on it. So we did some understanding of the retailer's website interaction using their clickstream data, which was fun. I actually enjoyed that part quite a bit. Then, then I worked out of Gurgaon. I stayed in East Delhi. I remember I used to do like a 2 hour commute one side. And in the morning, I would sleep in the cab when I'm going from home to office. And in the evening, I would probably, I mean, maybe listen some video or something, or sometimes just probably work. But it was very difficult to kind of sleep on the way back because there were so many headlights right in your face, because when you're coming from Gurgaon to Delhi, there are like, I must say,
Yeah.
thousands of people who are doing that with you. So I did that for a few years, 4 or 5 years, and then in 2016, with Dunnhumby only, I got this opportunity to move to London, wherein the retail media had started becoming a thing by then. It was pretty upcoming. So we wanted to, like Tanambi wanted to expand the retail media arm, and I moved over to London to establish some of the third-party media partnerships. So what that means is Dunnhumby obviously has retailers' data. Third parties can, TV channels like Sky, like ITV, uh, and or it can be your social media giants like Twitter, and then Twitter at that time, and then Facebook at that time, and you would serve media on these, and then you would want to measure the impact of that media using retailers' loyalty data in store and online. So I was doing that, and then I think slowly my role expanded, retail media expanded, and I started leading a team of data scientists out of UK and India. And then from a work stream perspective, I started supporting the entire retail media analytics for Dunnhumby for the specific UK client, which was pretty fun because I saw retail media kind of grow from not so big to really big, and I think it really makes me feel good when I see today that there are lots of big players kind of doing their bit in that.
Right.
So yeah, I mean that was good. Now I in 2022 I joined Meta, and now I'm working as a staff data scientist at Meta. uh, it's an individual contributor role, so I made that transition. So it's funny, I made that transition from IC to manager, and then from manager to IC. So I kind of the full circle that phase, which I kind of enjoyed. So here I'm responsible for a lot of I've basically supporting a lot of the marketing that we do in the consumer and in the business marketing space, focused on non-US markets. It's a brilliant business to basically understand how a product company thinks, how database decisions are brought to life on an everyday basis, and the real good part is some of the solutions that you design are so scalable they can literally touch millions or billions of users in like no time. So that's fun. So that's how my journey has been so far. I would say one common thread has obviously been numbers, data science, but I have one theme that I have kind of understood is data science is most powerful, is most impactful when it is intuitive and simple, and potentially it kind of resonates with stakeholders, right? It challenges them, but it kind of still resonates with their, I won't say their thinking, but at least logically it kind of makes sense to them. And basically it's super valuable when it eventually leads to decision making and recommendations rather than just being slides on a deck. So yeah, that's how my journey has evolved so far. Happy to dive deep, Sudhanshu.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for sharing this. Okay, so at that time when you got hired, right? So what were the skills actually that got you into this data domain?
So when I got into Target, I would say at that time, I did not know I was getting into data science, right? I was
Yeah,
I was a college graduate who got a decent paycheck. The company was good, and I wanted to explore something, and I said, why not, right? At that time, I knew it had something to do with numbers, so it's related to my background, but I had no idea on what it would be. I would say the skills that got me into this was problem solving, uh, and that has stayed relevant, and that is going to stay relevant in basically the world of Gen AI as well, because ultimately what businesses need is somebody to translate their stakeholders' needs into a business problem, and then eventually somehow put a mathematical framework behind it, right? So that
right.
skill is definitely not going away. That's here to stay. The technical part, I had no clue at that time. I would say I had some basic knowledge of C, C++, but that wasn't my day-to-day kind of work. But I picked up things like SAS, SQL. I think in today's world, picking up tools is you have Gen AI, you have lots of kind of material online that you can refer to. And then now a lot of universities teach some of these tools as well. So I would say if you have problem solving, if you have the kind of logical aptitude to turn a question into a problem that can be solved with numbers and then deploy numbers to solve it, I think that still has a long way to go. Plus, these days, I would definitely suggest keep a close tap of things like Python, some of the algorithms, if you because they are available and you can just go and literally kind of run your own project. Why not definitely do it so that when you're speaking to these organizations, your interviewers, you can kind of show them that you already know you have done a bit of this and you're eager to learn. So yeah.
Right. Problem solving was there and it's still gonna be there. One problem, one skill, right? Tools can change definitely. Right.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, then after Target, you have mostly spend your time in India, in Dunnhumby, and then also in the UK. You got the chance to get into, right? Uh, so around 10 years you were there, or how much
Yes,
time it was in
yes,
Dunnhumby?
10 years, yeah. A little more than 10, yeah, 10 and a half, maybe, yeah.
So how was what was the work there, and with what kind of problems you were? Although you have described in a short, but what kind of exactly problem dealt with as a data scientist on day to day life, and then how those problems actually made you a very good data scientist.
Yeah. So some of the problems were like the thing with retail analytics is the breadth of problems can be very wide, and thankfully I was able to basically tap into it. So I think I just to probably kind of mention some of the problems would be that there is a big serial client in the UK, and they want to understand what their shopper base looks like because they want to formulate their 3 year strategy based on those shoppers. So you would pick their shopper base, you would try to dissect it, you would probably do some clustering algorithm on it, you would try and understand what kind of shopper groups there are. There might be price sensitive shoppers, there might be brand specific shoppers, there might be shoppers who buy your product on the go. There might be shoppers who buy your product in baskets only. There might be shoppers who buy your product online only. So you would basically want to tell them, and then there would be these segments, and they would want to focus on a segment or maybe two, three segments, or maybe have different strategies for different segments and carry that throughout. So that's just example of one problem. Then there can be problems that a big brand is launching a new product, right? And they want to understand how this new product is performing in the first 2 3 weeks so that they can do a full scale launch of it. Like let's say the first launch is a test launch, so you would want to understand that this is the new product, and these are the kind of customers it's attracting. This is the trajectory of customers and sales it's on. Is it at par with previous new product launches or not? So you would basically, recommend them accordingly. uh,
So for the this problem, you would have done A/B testing, right, or
you would do
something
something.
else?
You would, yes, you would do something like for this specific problem, you would do like a forecasting of how basically
Okay.
the new product is launched, how it's going to kind of evolve over time, what is the current position, how it's going to increase over time. And then you will also want to compare it to previous years kind of new product launches and see if it's at par or not. And then basically recommend accordingly. So yeah, I mean, there were problems like there is a new promotion scheme launched. For example, buy three, buy one, get one free kind of a scheme launch. Or there is a scheme wherein you get to buy three for the price of two, something like that, right? How compare these pricing mechanisms, promotions, and see which one is better. That can be rolled out nationally to all the UK stores. So that would another problem. Herein, we would do something like an A/B testing approach, wherein we would have a set of stores and we will launch one scheme. We will have another set of stores. We will launch another scheme, and we'll see how basic. It would be another kind of a problem.
Okay. So the spectrum of the problems was very vast at this thing, right?
Yes, I mean, I remember some buyer came to us and said that there is going to be a big meeting, and they want me to recommend which kind of new categories we should go to. So we currently play in these categories. What is a new category we should go into because there is going to be some funding. So so that was a very interesting case because then I mean it's a classic problem of if you already have a shopper base, what else are they buying that you can potentially get into and they will be attracted to? Which are the categories that are pretty kind of close, similar in terms of, or not similar, supplementary to your category, and potentially you can get onto that. So yeah, I mean the problem base with was pretty wide. And this is the initial years before we started getting into the retail media,
Right.
which is essentially basically media analytics, which is very interesting as well, wherein you want to understand that this is the kind of ads we are showing the user on this channel. This is the impact. What if we change the channel mix? What if we kind of show them 4 times a week versus 3 times a week? Possibilities there as well. No noises there. It's good. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You discussed that what kind of problem you dealt with, right? Yeah, you wanna continue on this?
Yeah. And then I was mentioning about some of the problems of retail media as well, wherein you want to design measurement solutions, and sometimes your measurement solutions can be based on an experimental A/B testing framework because the channel allows you to do that. For example, you can do a holdback control, whereas there are some channels which may not allow you to do a holdback control. So you would want to do a causal inference kind of an approach to measurement. Then there can be scenarios wherein you might want to do some geo-testing approach to measurement, right? You will pick like a set of stores as test stores, as control stores, and you would want to understand what's the dynamic there. Uh, so yeah, a lot of kind interesting problem in this space, I would say.
So this was the time mostly when, like in India, especially, the e-commerce just started, or was it in nascent state, or is what already, or it was already grown at that time?
Yes, I would say, I mean, the likes of Flipkart and Snapdeal were becoming big at that time. Obviously, Amazon entered and then it started ruling. Mintra and all were not there. Like these are kind of slightly new players. So yeah, you can say that e-commerce was on the rise at that time. And obviously, I think once Amazon came in, it was a different equation altogether. So yeah, absolutely.
Right, after Amazon, basically, like there's a duopoly of Flipkart and Amazon right now. At that time,
Yes.
Snapdeal was
Yeah.
a big player. Now Snapdeal is almost
Yeah.
gone. Right, yeah.
Yeah. I
Mintra,
remember. I remember it was.
yeah, at that time, Amir Khan used to do advertisement for that. So yeah, it was kind of a big thing, and then it suddenly went down to the hills. Then Mintra, if I remember, when I finished my school, that was in 2019. So at that time, around the Mintra existed, and people got to know that okay, there's a fashion kind of e-commerce, especially focuses on fashion. And then some other
Yeah.
players came like Azio. Uh, yeah, I don't remember anyone
Yeah. Yeah.
else name.
Yeah, obviously technology played a very big role in all this, but I think the other thing that played a big role was supply chain. The fact that you
Yeah.
could get a product from somebody in Rajasthan to somebody in Karnataka in probably a day was unheard of. But once Amazon started doing it, everybody thought it is possible. And because I'm from OR, I can kind of sense that it's the classic optimization problem, traveling salesman optimization problem. Like at the very basic, it's like that. You have a bunch of places that you want the product to go, so you just want to design it right. So, yeah, I'm sure analytics has a lot to kind of can take a lot of credit to that basically growth journey as well.
At that time, like we never thought that okay, if you want something, if you want a phone, it can be delivered in 10 minutes. In
I never.
western side, people are still not aware that you can just get a delivery anything in 10 minutes. I have seen a lot of videos where foreigners
Yes.
came and they got surprised that okay, you can just deliver, you can get anything in 10 minutes right now. So yeah,
So I'll
these
I'll, I'll
things
tell
are
you one thing. Yeah, so obviously there are players here in the UK as well who do that, but not at that scale. For example, Blinkit, the concept of Blinkit is still groundbreaking when I explain it to my friends here. They are like, seriously?
okay.
Like in 10 minutes, you get it at your doorstep? There are one or two players that do that here, and some of the big players are also piloting to get that. I mean, their turnaround time is still about half an hour or something like that. but they are astonished at the speed at which that can happen in India.
Yeah, I still remember in 2020, 2021, 22, I was in college, and something like 1 hour delivery become something totally new at that time. That, oh, you can get something in 1 hour. That's incredible. Big
Yeah,
basket or some like came into. And after that, right now we are in 10 minutes zone. And Flipkart even
yeah,
shows you that you can get in 6 minutes. I don't know how they calculate, but
my
also
God.
I have seen that when you order that, it's not gonna be 10 minutes, it's gonna be 15 to 20 minutes. But yeah, they somehow advertise that. Yeah,
But it's the promise that counts, right? You might
right.
remember initially it was like you get the pizza in like 30 minutes, else it's free, and that was
Right.
like amazing. Like, how can that happen?
How as a company Dunnhumby is.
I have fond memories, Sudhanshu. I definitely kind of rate Dhanambi pretty highly. I think the leadership, it's not that big that you would get lost. It's not that small that it's a super hustle kind of a thing that you have to do every day. Uh, I would say that it's a company which holds its culture very dearly, very dear. It regards, there is a lot of rigor when we think about the things that it wants to achieve. At the same time, it values its people a lot as well. So I kind of think that in both the axes, Danambi kind of has a tick mark for me. Uh, I think for me, it played a very pivotal role in kind of in those initial years in terms of learning those solutions. I got a lot of support from a lot of good managers there to do what I wanted to do. For example, if I'll say that this project's deadline is approaching, but I want to try one or two more methodologies, they would give me the wiggle room. I mean, I'm not saying they will push deadlines, but they will play it smartly so that I get the approach, the opportunity to try out my other two approaches as well. Then ultimately we go to the stakeholders with everything, and they would be happy as well. So I think it played a very good role in my formative years. And then when I started basically kind of leading a team, I could sense that I was trying to give that space to my team as well. So yeah, I think it's if somebody is looking to join, it's a very good place to be, is what I would say.
You have grown from an analyst to senior analyst, lead analyst, and then manager at the same organization. What are the things that you need to be keep growing? Because it's hard. Once you are in an organization, you spend some years, things become slow, right? Things become kind of that you are working with the same kind of problems day to day, and promotions kind of become slow and all. What actually made you think that, okay, now I'm ready to take the next step?
Uh, so I just to probably dissect that question slightly. So I think there are two things. One, you're absolutely right that in the initial days, your learning growth is going to be pretty steep, and then it's gonna get stable over a period of time. Uh, I think the important thing is to keep the steep period going for as long as possible, and that's what I can basically tell everybody, because there will be a time when it will not be that steep, and you will have to kind of understand that I've reached that point where it's not steep. The way to keep it steep is, I would say, be curious. There is definitely not one way to solve a problem. Your client may require one way, but if you can provide two ways, or maybe do two ways for your learning, or for your learning plus kind of the client's benefit as well, that you give him two options instead of one, why not do that, right? Sometimes it may mean doing something additional, something on the side. Please do feel free to do that, I would say. That's one part of it, right? Obviously this will also stabilize over time, but then that's something to keep you going, to elongate that steep learning phase basically. The other way I would say, which I realized a bit late, right? So is, in many organizations there are a lot of teams, right? And lot of teams means lot of stakeholders, right? Ultimately what gets mundane is the same stakeholder asking the same question, right? Change your team is another way to basically do it. Different team means a different stakeholder. More or less, it means a different problem solving approach to a different or same problem as well, right? So I would say that once you think you're reaching that plateau, like change your team, maybe get on a different project, talk to your manager, get on a different project, right? Because as long as your steep thing kind of keeps on going, you have more things to learn. If you have more things to learn, you have more things to say. And that's where actual intellectual growth happens. And eventually it translates into like a career growth as well, is what I have seen. Then there would be a time when even if you have hopped two, three teams, you get a sense that I have done a bit of this right now. Now I understand this line. Now, that might be a time to think about whether you need to move into a different kind of an organization, a different domain as well, right? Or maybe you want to move into a different role altogether, basically. So, yeah, so I would say be comfortable with changing either the project or the team or the company, like depending on the trajectory that you are in, and that will ensure that you basically keep on learning. That's what my kind of my learnings are from my journey so far.
Yeah, that's actually something new and insightful as well. Because I have just started, like it's been almost 2 years, and yeah, so can totally learn something from this. Okay, just
Yeah.
a fun bit. What exactly a manager does, okay, and how it is different from what people think a manager does in analytics.
Oh, so what he does versus what people think he does. So
Yeah.
in some cases, people think that he's like a spy on you. He's like a company spy on you. Like the directors have kind of like he's that that police wala with a stick in his hand who's there to reprimand you. Uh, and this is again something that you like. I loved. There was a quote that I read when I was probably in school in seventh or eighth standard. It was a Sanskrit shlok which translated to that one fourth of your knowledge you only gain over time. So one fourth of your knowledge, and I don't know why I'm going into this, but let me go into this and I'll try and connect the dots. So imagine if this is 100% you're going to learn in your life, one fourth you're going to learn by studying, one fourth you're going to learn from your friends, one fourth you're going to learn by doing, and one fourth you're going to learn only with time. Nobody else can teach you, only time can teach you. So this manager thing is like that. When I started, I used to also think that why is he there? Like I'm doing all the work, he's probably talking to a few people, which is okay. I mean, I like it, but then why exactly is he there? And then I used to kind of think maybe he's keep all the sheep, uh, ensure all the sheep are walking in a straight line. But then slowly I kind of understood that he's there as a shield. He's there as a shield. He's giving me some space, which maybe the organization in its most ruthless form will not. He's there to basically he's my ally. If I'm saying ABC, he's gonna say ABC 10 times to 10 people. Hopefully if he'll take my name as well with it if he's a genuine guy, and then guy or girl, not at all gender specific here. But then the idea is that they will back me up and they will kind of speak. They will make me shine in a lot of places in the organization. And then I notice some of the genuine managers do that, and when they do that you tend to see it as well. So what happened is, uh, my good manager would have done some good things, and obviously they are not supposed to tell you every time they do it. How it translated is some other team started knowing about my work and I never discussed with them. And I was like, okay, I did this. Okay, good. And then they started, asking me questions. And treating me like a semi-expert in, right? And that was my manager doing some good kind of talking or probably visible raising my visibility behind my back. So I think a lot of times people think that they are here only to reprimand you, but I would say the genuinely good managers are here to act as a shield and to basically help your work reach places where it won't reach naturally, uh, and play a role in that. It's very ironic. So, as a manager, your success becomes invisible, but your stress is very visible. So, so it's kind of quite ironic that ways. But yeah,
Yeah. So that only implies to the good managers.
yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah. When you have worked with retail, so you have worked with multiple teams, and whether it's like commercials, media, engineering, other clients, what is the single hardest thing when you do cross functionality management?
I would say it's making sure because you will talk to a lot of teams, right? I'm just going to give you an example. There is an engineering team somewhere. There is a marketing team somewhere. You may have product team stakeholders. You have your own team. You have a bunch of other data science teams, right? Now, a lot of projects need a lot of collaboration from all these teams, right? There might be a creative team as well. There might be a media team as well, you know. So easily it can be that you have five, six, or maybe 10 cross-functional teams working on a project. I would say the single most difficult team is to agree on a path which is a win-win for all the teams. Because sometimes, for good or bad reasons, different teams have different KPIs, they have different priorities, which may not align with the project's priorities, right? Theoretically, they should, right? But this is where it gets a bit dicey because they have different big orgs, they have their own leaders who are talking to different
Right,
leaders, talking about different KPIs. So I think the single most important thing is getting the job done in the most smoothest or efficient way possible, basically. Because there can be a lot of red tape. Like, I mean,
right.
the extent of red tape is a direct function of how you are navigating basically the system. So I would say that is a very difficult job for a manager.
How young data professionals like me can learn that only we are not doing the analytics work or just in front of computer with this, especially with when it comes to cross functionality, because in the beginning it's not like a collaboration, it's more like a difference or more like arguments you are having with another team, that they want something else and we as a team want something else. So what can we learn, and how what things we learn to improve that?
Yeah, I would say I would say the thing that has helped me in terms of navigating some of this is if you are true to okay, so first of all, you should try to be good with people. It's a very niche, it's a very kind of a like everybody will say that kind of a thing, but it goes a long way in the sense that your relationships that you develop matter much more than the immediate project that you're doing. And I mean, forget about organization, right? It's you as an individual interacting with another individual, right? And you may be interacting in the walls of a company, but the walls are not that important. Your interaction is more important, right? Your particular project may, I think, in that instance, it may feel it's the end of the world, but you and the other person can do 10 more projects going forward, right? So that single project is
Right,
not that important. So I think it's very important to understand from where the other person is coming from, right? And that can only happen once you form good relationships and once there is trust established. That's why I rate stakeholder management very highly, basically, analytics. I think I think the value of analytics is in conversation, basically. You
right,
can run your models on your computer. It doesn't mean a thing if your stakeholders are not getting it right. So conversation is probably even more important than getting the model right, I would say. Uh, a semi-robust model, well communicated, is more powerful than a super model not communicated at all. So I would say that definitely spend time in nurturing those relationships. It's in today's world, it's very easier to get bogged down to your screen only, right? You have laptops, you
Right.
have remote jobs. Thankfully, if there was remote when I started, I would have struggled to form those relationships. I actually think that because there was that, those interactions, those coffee chats, those you used to just stand on people desks and talk about that this number is increasing, this is decreasing, put a pen, take a pen, paper, or go to a whiteboard and just, draw it out. That goes a long way in establishing trust, right? Because those interactions tell people that this person is saying it, there might be some logic to it. Let me at least listen. And similarly, you will do the same. If that person is saying something, let me at least devote some energy to it. So I would say spend time in nurturing those relationships. Early on, I would say don't get into the red tape at all, right?
Right.
Many a times, your goal is not to get your solution out. You will learn when you, obviously, because you're doing your solution, you understand it, right? If there are 10 people that are suggesting different things, if you learn that, then you learn 10 more things, right? Without doing, you learn 10 more things. And at that stage, you're only learning. When you're 2 years, 3 years into it, I would say grasp as much as you can, take as much in as you can from a knowledge perspective. And that can mean sometimes potentially, I'm not saying don't be confident about your solutions, but think that if the other person is saying a solution, they would also have some merit, right? So let me give it the due weightage and evaluate it with my solution, basically. And there might be times when you want to, and there are times when you want to stand solid on your thing, and that's when you say that basically that this is a time where we can basically agree to disagree. I'm saying this, I understand why you're saying this, but I have this logic why I feel A is better than B. So let's go to somebody else who potentially has some thoughts on it, which can be a senior person, and potentially take their guidance. And it's completely fine to do that, I'd say.
Right. That's good. What was the shock you got when you moved from Dunnhumby to Meta with regards to scale of problems, with regards to tools, and with regards to management?
Yeah, so Meta is a so when I joined Meta, Meta you go through the onboarding process, right?
Yeah.
The onboarding process at Meta was very overwhelming in the sense that I say it's overwhelming, but now I think it was very good for me as well because that kind of made me ready for what was about to come. So you get because I was saying that you have different teams and you can have like let's say in Dunnhumby you might have 8 cross-functional teams on a project. In Meta you would easily have a team like so big. There are so many data science teams, there are so many engineering teams, there are so many marketing, creative teams, media teams, and then media teams are split into like different teams as well and whatnot. So, and every team is doing incredible work. And in onboarding, they want you to learn about all of that, right? So you get like a whistle stop tour of a lot of things in a very short time. And I think that was a very eye opener for us because I had joined this team. I was like, and I know I'm saying this on record, but like, I was like, okay, one day laptop will come. Next day I will put the laptop on and it will take time to load up. And then probably by third day I might get, oh no, they send you everything in advance so that on time zero you're ready to go. And then they have all the material for you in advance as well. And I'm like, okay, this is a bit like okay, it's my day zero, and I'm like completely kind of zoned out by the end. But it was good. Now I
Okay.
think about it, I think because the pace at which Meta works, that resembled that pace. And I think more than obviously getting all that knowledge is great, like, but getting familiar with that pace is important as well. So I think that kind of prepared me for it. And that was good. And then I think I Dunnhumby was a data science company and pretty kind of particular about data science as well. But Meta is at a different level in the sense that every decision is data backed, right? I mean, if I thought that 7 out of 10 in Dunnhumby was data backed, here it's like 9 out of 10 are data backed. So you would, if you speak the language of data, people value you. I think this is actually true here in the sense that simply being in a data team, people start respecting your opinion or probably kind of asking your opinion, which is good in the sense that you are being valued, but which is also there's this other side as well that you should know about it, right? You should know how to solve a problem on the spot, and so that was one. The other is Meta has a vast source of data, right? I was
Yeah,
coming thinking
incredible.
that there would be a simple data lake, there will be a data dictionary. I mean, it can have 300, 400 columns or even 1,000 columns. I don't worry. But then here you have like thousands of tables, and there is no way you can kind of remember each table. And then the same data can sit in like five tables, and you have to be good to work out which is the right table to go to as well. So I would say that was a new experience for me as well. The sheer vast amount of data that it stores on a daily basis on a particular and use case by use case, you can have like thousands of tables. That was amazing for me as well.
That's I can just hear I cannot correlate with this that you have thousands of columns and thousands
Oh
of
my God,
tables.
it's amazing.
when when I work with almost 50 columns, I was like, why there are so many columns? Just delete all of those. Just get me five columns which are necessary.
Yeah, yeah. So a lot of that
So
is true. Like in Meta, you need to find out which are the right kind of data sources, right columns to work with. So yeah, that was fun. That's something I still enjoy. I am pretty sure even people who are like 10 years into the organization, they wouldn't know all the data that Meta has. Like, yeah, I mean, I don't imagine I would know after 10 years the data because I'm sure there would be some pockets that new data columns would have been created, tables would have been created, and I would just need to find that out basically.
okay. So do you have like argument with data engineering kind of teams that okay why this happened or that you got to know that something has been completely changed when you guys are performing. So something like that happens or it doesn't like right now.
Oh no, that happens. That happens. That happens. The other day, I got a notification that one of the tables that I had used in my solution, which is like continuous running solution, that's going to be decommissioned, right? And I saw that they are sending that email to like 2,000 folks because a lot of people would have used that. I mean, they give you the rationale that because this is changing, hence we need to decom. But then that is like you're thinking, now what do I do? What is the new data source? How do I integrate? It's a, it's
Okay.
a, yeah, it's fun. It's
That's
fun.
so yeah, that's a continuous process between data data science, data analyst, and data engineers. You worked with basically marketing, consumer retails. What are some of the like KPIs or measurements kind of things that you think are very important when you are getting into a job for a marketing team or retail consumer analytics teams?
So the KPIs vary by the business domain that potentially you're thinking about. So let's pick retail, right? I'm just going to probably pick
Hmm.
retail and roll with it. So if you think about KPI, right, the very first thing that I think somebody should do is go onto the company website, explore a bit. I think that they themselves tell you the most important KPI. I mean, people call it as the North Star or whatever, right? The single thing that you basically want to move. So for example, let's think about a retailer, right? I mean, we all know under the hood that everybody cares about revenue, so that is a KPI, right? But in a lot of cases, number of customers or your penetration of customer base in a particular country or geography is very important as well, right? So that can be your KPI, that can be your North Star KPI, right? And then that's like the single KPI, but you always need to break that into multiple KPIs, right? For example, let's roll with sales, right? If I want to increase sales, right, what do I do? That's one KPI, sales decided. Now I'm thinking about the hierarchy below this, right? What do I do? Do I increase sales per shopper or do I increase the number of shoppers? Now, when I am increasing sales per shopper, am I increasing sales per visits or the number of visits done by a shopper, visits per shopper, right? So whenever you have a KPI, always think about what are the different contributing KPIs to this single KPI, because ultimately what happen is you will move the contributing KPIs and you'll see a change in the main KPI, right? So all the businesses think about that their strategy will, because a single strategy cannot solve for everything, right? Ultimately a single strategy cannot drive your, or maybe it can drive your north star, but in most cases your north star has many things in it, so there will be different strategies that will serve those many things in it. So I would always say that obviously figure out what's the most important KPI, but then drop it into like buckets, or what all comprising elements are there in that single KPI which contribute to that single KPI. That's how I would think about it.
You said that okay, when you are in a data science team, so everyone respects you. So I guess that's true for almost all the companies, but the downside of that, you are gonna be the one which gets all the bashing as well when something breaks or something happens or some number goes down. So how you actually prepare this? Because when you are just starting your career, you are not afraid. You are basically afraid to face, because yeah, you would have done thousands of things behind, right? You have created a lot of new measures, you have created dashboards, you have created models, okay, to improve the business side, and you are basically working with six or seven or almost all the teams in your company, right? So that's a very good part. But yeah, when something breaks and you have to go to the basically the management and all, so you are the first person who's going to get all the bashing and all. So how do you prepare yourself for that? Because I don't think that you are going to get away with this thing as well.
Yeah, you cannot get away with it. But I think you sign up for that. That's part of the deal. Uh, I would say the only preparation, and I have had my share of things when things have gone wrong or potentially they have been missed rather than got wrong. I think transparency is one thing that goes a long way. In one of the solutions, I remember one of the QA steps was missed, and then we all were happy with everything. And then suddenly, after a few months, somebody realized that this was missed. I think, and the approach that I took at that time was kind of obviously involve your kind of leadership, your stakeholders, and explain them that this is the situation, right? This is before going into why it happened, give them a sense of the extent of the situation, right? For example, if you think some methodology has gone wrong, right? I would always run the correct version of that methodology and tell them that there is a 2% deviation. Now let's get into the why of this deviation, which is that this particular step was missed, or this data input was wrong, or this thing was there. Also give them a solution of the future that, okay, I have ensured that if I take care of ABC, or you give me support and you probably give me probably two more analysts who can look into ABC for me, or maybe we can join hands with that other team that does ABC as well, then we will be able to plug this gap and at least this mistake will not happen in future. So I think if you go with that well-rounded approach of stating what has happened, right? Giving an idea of the impact of what has happened as well, because I think the first question that leadership has is what's the impact, right? And then telling them that why this happened and how we are going to fix it, or if we have already fixed it, then I think that generally goes a long way in terms of people understanding. it's when you only go that there is this problem and nobody likes this question, right? I mean, if I tell you, Sudhanshu, there is this problem, you're not going to like me. But if I tell you that there is this problem, but we have a solution and this is what we need to do, this is what you need to do, this is what I need to do, I think you'd like it. So I think I would say that definitely approach it in that way is what my thinking would be. It's worked for me. I'm hoping it works for others as well. Sounds logical as well, so why not? And probably another thing, because in a project multiple teams would be there, don't try to do a blame shift kind of an exercise.
Right.
I don't think that goes, because people see through that. I think it's important to just say that this thing went wrong. I was part of the team, or if you were the main owner, then feel free to say you were the main owner. But don't try to do this blame shifting thing. Instead, come to a solution, because yeah, everybody likes getting to a solution. Even if it's not 100%, get it to whatever 50-80% is there. I think that goes a long way.
What are the top five skills you had force every student to learn if they are doing their engineering or doing anything related to stats, and they are looking to build their career in data science or analytics?
Sure. Uh, I would definitely want them to learn stats, basically, right? So your hypothesis testing, your p-values, regression coefficients, what is a linear logistic regression, classification metrics, and all. Now, because it's in when I grew up, it was, I mean, it was kind of mandatory to understand these. Now I think I see this in some pockets, it's becoming optional, because there are these tools that do everything for you. It's become optional to basically, understand what it means. I don't think it's optional. I think you still need to understand it so that you can explain it to people. First of all, understand it so that you understand it, and then you explain it to people, and then you are able to advise on why this is bad, right? Obviously, some of the code lines can do it for you, but then you should do it yourself as well, because ultimately you need to stand on your work, right? So you do, and like for example, we talked about a lot of error debugging and all that. That would become really helpful in case when kind of things go south. So definitely keep a good grasp of your stats, I would say. Pick up a programming language, right? I would I mean, R, Python are the kind of programming languages of choice at the moment. Pick any one, pick both. Uh, but definitely kind of, when I say pick up, I don't mean kind of be a champion on it because you're just starting, but maybe do like some bit of work on it so that when somebody's talking about it, you understand what they mean, right? So just like pick it up. I would say a third kind of a skill I would definitely recommend is work on your communication skills, because communications will lead to your relationship forming as well, will lead to your stakeholder management in projects as well. I think communication is a very important skill. So learn to be empathetic, right? I would say learn to listen and grasp more, basically, is what I would say, because in those meetings, people will say less, but you need to understand more. You need to read between the lines. So definitely kind of practice a lot of kind of communication is what I would say. So that would be three. Then I'm thinking what else? I know I mentioned the coding languages are Python. I would say that SQL is a must. SQL is a must. You can learn it through any of those Gen AI tools, but I don't know any organization which is not doing SQL basically. So definitely
Great.
kind of learn a bit of SQL. In future, there might be a world wherein we may not need it, but we are not there yet. I would say definitely kind of get into SQL. What else? Yeah, I would say yeah. I mean, and something that's probably less important because you can do it on the job is your standard office tools as well, your Excel docs and whatnot. I'm hoping that it's already there. But
Right.
yeah, do learn it. Do learn how to use Gen AI as well, because I think it's a very valuable source. I'm hoping a lot of people who are already kind of just about to start their careers, they already know it, but understand when and how to use ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, how to play with these, and because they are there for to your advantage, it's on you to make use of them. So why not at least understand on how to use them and then potentially kind of use them whenever possible. One more thing, Sudhanshu, that I recommend, and it's not a skill, but once you do all of the above, try to do a small dummy project, get onto Kaggle, get a data set in,
Right.
right? Kind of do some slicing, dicing, some graphs, right? Some basic insight understanding, probably build a very simple model and see how it looks like. Because once you do that, you will put all those skills into practice. And I
Yeah, that's cool. So in some summarization, coding language. Second would be,
stats is very important.
yeah, stats,
Stats,
SQL, communication, and any tool, especially Gen AI tools, and then Office tools.
definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
Gen AI office tools, and maybe just make sure you get to utilize Autonomous project, and that's the cherry on the cake, I would say.
Okay. Now, people who are
So
already
one more
working.
thing, Sudhanshu,
Yeah,
if I
yeah.
may just add one more thing, just so doing all that, I think you will see in interviews the thing that sets you apart is still problem solving. You're doing all the peripheral
Right,
items to make you strong, but the thing that will set you apart is still your problem solving skills. So maybe read up and try to basically kind of brush up on them. So yeah.
right. When it comes to problem solving, in the beginning, I used to think that, okay, I'm not a good problem solver because maybe as I move forward and all, it's all about practice. And the more you practice with problems, the more you experience. Because most of the time, we are solving problems as humans. That's
Yes.
basically what we do, right? It's not
Yes.
always that you are solving a maths problem or a coding problem, but in day to day lives, you are solving problems. So it's basically that you need to just get the exposure of those particular kind of problems that gets in your way in analytics or
Yes.
data science, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
absolutely. I think problem solving, as you rightly said, we do on a daily basis. I think it's the art of breaking one problem into multiple sub problems. And that's true for general life as well. That's true for data science as well. That's true for all domains. So I think applying that, as you mentioned, like, just probably reading through some of those specific case studies or actually solving them through some Kaggle data sets or no, or what can kind of be super helpful.
right. When we talk about people who are trying to switch, right? You have like switched after your like initial years, then you have spent a lot of time in one organization, and then you shifted to right now one of the biggest companies, right? One can dream of, especially if they are into data science and stuff. So Google, Meta, Microsoft. Okay, so what should be the roadmap if someone wants to switch after some time?
Yeah, I would say definitely plan early. I mean, it's good if you know that it's time for me to switch and you haven't put in your resignation yet. I mean, people may call it
Yeah,
playing it safe, but I would say that that's what I did. So, I mean, yeah. And then basically thinking about what kind of role you would want to do next, right? Maybe writing it down on a paper, doing a lot of LinkedIn surfing to see if are particular organizations you want to target or not. Or maybe if you want to generally switch, kind of reaching out to recruiters and getting a sense of what kind of roles are available at your level, right? First of all, I think the
right,
very important thing is that in your head, there shouldn't be a mismatch of your skills and your actual kind of skills that are needed for your next job, basically. So, assuming you're able to figure out that this is the company that I want to reach, or maybe this is the set of companies, ten set of companies that I want to reach. And then I think then you start thinking about what kind of interviews that they have taken, and there is a lot of material that is available on the kind of rigorous interviews that some of these companies take. I remember for Meta, I sat for like 8 interviews maybe or not or something like that. And
Oh,
yeah, so getting a sense of what kind of interviews are there, and then what kind of skills are needed for it, and then basically chalking out a plan which says that the mostly these companies do like for example, a coding interview, a problem solving interview, kind of a machine learning specialist interview, a general kind of a stakeholder management interview, right? So just chalking that out and then potentially kind of building yourself up to these interviews, and the preparation to all of these interviews can be very different. For example, the stakeholder
right,
management interview might require you to, list out some scenarios from your work experience so far, scenarios wherein, you had to tell your senior that you have made a mistake, scenario wherein you needed to work with a teammate who's difficult to work with, there will be different. So obviously think good examples, crisp examples from your past, and I would say prepare them in a manner that you don't want to be thinking on the spot. You want to be prepared. I'm not
right,
saying memorize it, but you
right,
you don't want to be mumbling on the spot. You want to summarize them as crisp answers, right? So do that preparation, write it down, go through them in your head and whatnot. For example, if there is a coding interview, you need to kind of probably just brush up your SQL skills, get some hard problems online from lead code or something and kind of solve them. That would give you confidence. If that's a Python problem, then potentially try to solve the same problems with SQL and Python both and see how you basically fare with them. Similarly, basically brush up on your statistics. I would love to understand if you actually understand the thing that you're saying or you're just saying it. So, and then I think one important skill is that on your CV, whatever you have written, be prepared to back it up. I, I mean,
right,
I'm a firm believer in that. If you have done
right,
something, even if you played a small role in a big project and you want to mention it, mention your exact role and kind of explain what other people and what you did and how it fit into the picture and how it led to an outcome for the organization. I think that connecting that bit is important. So you doing a very cool model is all good, but what does it mean for the organization? How does it translate into value for them? So yeah, I would
right,
say definitely do that. So that would be my strategy. Again, I mean, when I think about it, I think my strategy for most things is very simple. Just break it down into smaller parts and tackle one at a time. So maybe I'm saying the same thing here as well, but that's what I would approach it basically. And obviously now with the Gen AI and kind of so much knowledge being there, all this should be easier, but it can be difficult if you get lost in a lot of this as well. So make sure you know where you want to get to, and then obviously practice, I would say. Get a good
right.
friend to sit through and then probably start saying things to him. Many people do this. They record themselves in a mirror and then kind of watch
Right.
those videos to see how they are pacing. I think that's valuable as well because the more you do it, the more you learn, basically.
Right. Now I see my videos when I was speaking and then I regret. Then I guess that's the way I get in front of camera, even knowing that, okay, I may suck and all, but yeah, I still keep doing this. So I guess for all those years, it has made me better in speaking, especially
No,
in
no,
front of
keep
camera
on
and in
doing
front of
Sudhanshu.
public.
Yeah, no, we
Right.
we
Thanks.
like you, man.
Okay. Before closing, basically just some rapid fire kind of questions. Okay. So I'm gonna
Ooh,
throw like
okay.
4 or 5 questions in right. Yeah. Okay. One skill a senior data scientist must have, but 90% of resumes don't show that.
I think stakeholder management, a lot of resumes do not do justice to stakeholder management. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, yeah, I would definitely, I'd love to see people mention that they have worked in what kind of cross-functional environment they have worked in. Yeah.
Okay. One project you are proud of because it failed, but taught you something valuable.
Oh, the bit that I was saying, the error that I mentioned, which I got to the lead into the details, but it was with a third party. The solution was running
Okay.
for an year, and then we discovered that there was some error in it, right? But I think I obviously got my leadership involved and I did what the impact is and how can we mitigate this and then how this will not happen in future. And we took that to the client. Thankfully, the client was very supportive as well, and that partnership is still running, even though I have left. I know it's still running. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm pretty
That's
proud
good.
of that.
One buzzword in data science you had deleted forever.
It got deleted on its own. I think there was big data which kind of got deleted on its own. There is a buzzword every few years, and I think now it's becoming every few months. But yeah, I would say potentially kind of things like big data. I'm hoping Gen would go soon as well because it become business as usual. And then yeah, go soon as well. Yeah.
Yeah, for me it would be agentic.
Oh yeah, that's the new one. I know. Yeah.
In
I mean, there's going.
2025 when things started, like people talk that this is the age of AI agent, every gibberish or shitty post I was seeing on LinkedIn, it was about AI agents. It's not that
Yeah,
I am experienced, I have worked, so I understand, but every other person, and I believe that he would not have even touched anything or
I know. I
read
know.
anything about, and they were yesterday posting about AI agent. So yeah, okay.
There was one conference I was in, and somebody mentioned
Huh.
that they have deployed a machine learning and whatnot. And at that time, machine learning was the buzzword. And I said to them, all you have done is a where clause of visits greater than two, and you're telling me that you are deployed machine learning. That's, anyways, but yeah.
Yes, people do this kind of stuff. Okay, last, complete this sentence. A data science project fails not because of model, but because of.
I would say lack of communication. Yeah,
Okay, that's
yeah,
a good
yeah,
one, right?
yeah. Lack of
Okay,
conversation.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks, Deepak. Thank you so much.
No, no, Sudhanshu, lovely. Thank you so much for having me.
I will just stop that. So, one analytics belief you change your mind about after joining Meta.
Oh, after joining Meta, one analytics belief that I changed my mind about. Ooh, that's a tough one, man. Did I change anything after joining Meta? Probably not a belief, but I could. Okay, IC can be as powerful as a manager, and in some cases more powerful as well. I think Meta has definitely kind of contributed to that. Yes. I mean,
Oh, okay.
uh, maybe I can say a couple of lines to just kind of explain it. So obviously, I explained when I was in Dunnhumby, I get to a point where I was leading a team of data scientists based out of India and UK, right? And early on in my career, and this again refers to that 25% you understand over time. So I used to think that manager is a promotion, right? Which in some cases it is, but it is a career path. It is more of a career path than a promotion. And there are organizations like Meta, wherein an IC is valued as much as a manager, or in some cases more than a manager as well. You are valued on the value that you're bringing to the company than what basically your title says.
Position.
So yeah, then your position says. So I think Meta definitely has brought this to life for me. So now I check, I think in some other organizations, they are also kind of creating high level IC positions, but companies like Meta, Google, I think they have already done that. And they are kind of showing to the world that potentially others should do the same as well. So yeah. So not a
That's
very
something new
rapid
for
answer
me.
to this, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.